What's up? What's up, everybody? It is Thursday night, and you are watching the podcast with the best theme song ever around. The Floor is Yours podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Listen, gas prices are too high, so there's no need to be anywhere else. You might as well stay home and watch The Floor is Yours because we bring the fire every single week. We've been on a little break, but we are back and we are better and we are ready for you tonight. So, tonight, listen, before we even get started, I want you to like, share, and subscribe. Call your mama, call your daddy, call your play cousins, call everybody. Tell them the Floor is Yours podcast is on. Tell them they want to tune in because tonight we bring in the heat like we always do, of course. But you know I can't do it all by myself. I got the baddest crew in town. My brother from another mother is here with me. Mr. Gerard Flex, the producers in the house. Say what's up to the people. Look at
I'm
him.
just
Look at him
here, so
showing
I'm
off.
gonna get fine. What's up, people? How's everybody doing, man?
Good to see you, brother. Welcome back,
Yeah.
man. It's been a minute, but we back in the
Yeah.
house, though, man. We're ready to do this. And of course, we got the queen herself, the first lady of the Floor is Yours podcast. Miss Amisha IC is in the building. Amisha, grace the people with a hello.
What it do? What it do? What it do? The baddies in the house. The
Yeah,
baddie is in the
Yes,
house.
yeah, you
And
indeed.
got
I'm
the,
their sister from another mister. If y'all, yeah, all that
yeah,
there. But it is good to be back with my crew. I'm excited about tonight. Really looking forward to the conversation and definitely want to know to see the interaction between the men and the women on here tonight. So let's
Yeah.
get ready to what?
Let's get
Rumble.
ready to
we're going to
rumble.
definitely stir the pot a little bit tonight. Absolutely. Amisha, you are looking like your melanin is really popping tonight. Like you got on cocoa butter?
Unfortunately, I do not.
That's you
But
natural. Wow.
well, no, I do a little like a little spray gloss because I have to keep this skin hydrated. What
Okay.
you put on your face, you gotta put in your body. But no, I'm just over here basking in unbotheredness and you know every now and then
Yeah.
just saying, Lord, touch me,
Touch
make
me,
me
Hey,
Lord.
glow.
let
Touch
your soul glow.
Yeah.
Well, tonight we're gonna stir the pot, and I'm sure we're gonna step on some toes tonight. Tonight the topic is hush the fuss, and so tonight we're talking about the way that men and women communicate, and sometimes why there's friction, why I can't hear you even though you screaming in my face. We're gonna go back and
Mm.
forth. Does one person communicate longer, stronger, or louder? And does that make you right just because you're louder than the other person? And so we're going to get into some of those nuances that are good practices for communication, what men are reading when women communicate to them, and what women are reading when men communicate to them. And so I guess the first question is, Amisha, to you, why do women feel the need to scream all the time?
me. Yeah, Misha. Explain yourself.
Go with God. Take your time. Let him use you. Let him use you.
Y'all really can't see my prop, but it said, do you want to fight or you want to be nice? And I don't feel I don't feel that all women scream.
That is
I
right.
I, I don't. Now, and if they do, I believe there is a capacity that has been reached. It's like a teapot on the stove. And so much is going on, and sometimes women raise their voices because they don't feel like they're being heard. So if they come like mild, it's like, man, I'm really not paying her no attention. But oh, when she get the elevating octaves, like where she go from tenor down to soprano, but not up to it. She go up, yeah, she do go up. Then she got to raise her voice.
Yeah.
Me personally,
Hmm.
if I'm at an elevation, that means I'm really tired of the conversation anyway, and I really just don't want to talk no more. So just leave me alone. Um, but I don't know. I feel like women raise their voice, some of them because they frustrated.
Yeah, yeah. Usually, when a person raises their voice, either male or female, it's usually because they're exhausted. They have exhausted all the other possibilities, and they feel like sound and volume is really going to get the message clear. Sound and volume, the louder you are, is really ineffective. It really kind of actually pushes the other person away. But we feel like we are. we feel like there's a need to dominate because we're not getting heard, we're getting pushed over, we're not getting considered. And so what do? You show up bigger and stronger with
Yeah.
dominance. And so we yell and we scream. Not the most effective tool, but if your partner, like you just said, Amisha, you're absolutely right. If your partner feels the need to elevate their voice, it's because they feel like you are not receiving what they're saying. And so that's not a place you want to get. I like to think that disagreeing is normal, but fighting should not be normal.
Yeah. Hey,
Right.
Gregory, just to add to that, what Misha said, you
Hmm.
feel like you're not being heard. You know that old saying, the squeaky wheel gets the oil.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes people do feel like they got to squeak. And it might not even be necessarily being heard more than
Hmm.
understood.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people battle to be understood. And I think in this world, and we'll get more into this later, when we feel like something about us is so important that we use the other people as a transaction or as a mean to be heard, right? To flex my importance, and it almost takes away that other person's importance. One of the greatest forms of love is to listen to the other person, right?
Hmm.
And again, I don't want to get too far in it because I know we're going to touch on a little of that later. But when a person is not heard and the focus, or they feel like they've not been heard, the focus now becomes being heard, and sometimes it's at the detriment of the not just the other person, but at the health of the relationship as well. So just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, and I think you spoke to one of the biggest contributors to why people get in these elevated arguments is because we are communicating with the person who we think should care the most. So our spouse, our girlfriend, our boyfriend, our sister, our brother, our family, these are the people that we expect you should be listening, you should understand, you should have some insight, you should have some knowledge that the rest of the world doesn't. And so if I'm not getting through to you, that angers me because there's an expectation on this person that they should care the most. And when we feel like they're not caring, guess what? We put our dukes up. We're ready to fight.
So let's talk about that one. Do y'all think that's a right or wrong in that? Like the person in closest proximity to you in the relationship, is it their job to hear you and understand you? And if not, then what?
Yeah, I think to a certain degree. Yeah, if I've signed up to be your husband, if I've signed up to be your best friend, if I've signed up to be your boyfriend, to a certain degree, there is an expectation I think is higher than your coworker, than your members in your church, or the guys you go play bowling with. I think so. Yeah, I think there should be. Now, can I be all in all? No. But is there a high expectation on me? Yes.
So you signed up, huh?
I
You
know, right?
signed up like so did anyway.
Yeah.
I'm coming back at you. Don't worry. Keep going. Say what
So
you got to
your
say.
question was, Gerard,
The
repeat it.
expectation. Is it right to expect that the other person, and maybe I should have framed it this way because I think it is okay to expect, but what if they're not doing it right? Is the expectation for them to be perfect at it? And then if not, then what? Because I think that's really the disconnect. It's not most times people do want to know and they want to understand you and want to feel what you're going through. But I don't want to place the burden of perfection on my mate. Like you got to get it right, and if you don't get it right, then I assume the worst. You don't care. You're not listening. You're not understanding. And
Right,
Mm,
I think
because
a lot of-
people process things differently. Because when I learning this thing, if I'm if I'm one that just can respond from a download that I don't have to sometimes take a long time to think, but the person that I'm communicating with is a bullet point communicator, and he got to have drop down boxes, and then he got to compartmentalize it by going one section at a time. Then there's like, dude, like you could be like, hurry up, or he could be like, what you saying? And so when you learn the style of communication is when it gets a little easier. But until you know that, there can be a bump in the road, a little turbulence there. And
yeah.
so are you willing to navigate a different angle to get better results?
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, so you hit on something that is like fundamental. It's like almost understanding your partner's love language is understanding their communication language. So in my relationship, I have a, you know, I have a girlfriend. We've been together for a while now, and she's a bullet point person. So when I ask her about her day, she'll say, "I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this." And so I have this thing that I tell her, and don't nobody steal my stuff. But I have this thing that I tell her. I say, when I ask you how your day is, I want to hear the long version. I want to hear when you woke up, what coffee you had to drink, was there traffic on the way to work, what song did you listen to? I want to hear the long version. And so she and I have learned to kind of meet each other in the middle, because if we continued that way, if it wasn't an intention to kind of let me nurture your communication style, let me nurture yours, or take in consideration what you want to receive, then that will cause friction, that will cause distance. And so you're absolutely right, Amisha. People do process things differently, and if you're in a relationship that you love this person, be it siblings or whatever, you need to take in consideration how they receive information.
So, and
Yeah.
the way you just, the way you brung it, when you just displayed it on how you said it, I was kind of in a clutch pearl situation only because of wording. Go this way. She said she dropped it down as a bullet point, and then you said you came back and said, I want to hear the
The
long
long story,
version.
the long
So,
version. Yeah.
and if it was come to me like that, but I think you kind of softened it in the end when you came back and said like you wanted like you said something different in the end, but the first part of it for me would have been like it sounded more like a demanding way.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? And so the second part you came back and it was a little bit softer, like I want to be, more detailed inclined about how your day was. So I do believe wording and how it's presented makes a difference. So I'm just telling you from two different ears on how I heard it, and then you did come back and soften it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we should be in a place where we should be able to say why, or be more clear about that. What are you asking? And to assume the best, even if it did come across kind of demanding, to say, I want to hear the long version, and to come back and say, what do you mean by that? Like, I want to know as much as I can about you, or understand as much as I can about you, which is a good thing. What what I have discovered is that, and some people get uncomfortable with this, is that there's feminine energy and there's masculine energy, and it's not necessarily related to how you show up in the body that you were given, but it just shows up in how you communicate. Masculine energy tends to be more bottom line. Um, Feminine energy tends to be more emotionally connected. So not only tell me about your day, but how did your day feel when you were in that business meeting, when you had that conversation, when you had to write that email? That's more feminine energy. Masculine energy says, did you send the email? Did you make the phone call? Your feelings aren't as important as did you execute. And so we find that no matter what body that you're in, you need to really understand your partner's way of communicating. Are they more expressive, meaning more feminine energy, or are they more exact, meaning more masculine energy? And so that way you'll know how to be more effective with
You
your
know,
partner.
and I like what you said and understanding it that way. Like you could say, how was your day? And you want the long version. She might hear, did you have a good day?
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which requires or commands a much shorter response, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And what is interesting is that we all communicate differently, because if you met someone who was, say, from Germany, you would probably anticipate that maybe some bumps in the road with communicating, that maybe some challenges, because they were brought up differently in a different place. Well, the same here when you're in intimate romantic relationships. They were brought up in a different household. So that is the equivalent of being brought up in a different country. They had a different way about themselves, different way of speaking, different way of handling conflict, different way of balancing chores around the house. How they, were they more aggressive? Were they more encouraging? And so it is really like learning a different language the closer the relationship is.
Yeah. You know what's crazy about that too is how willing you are changes. You know, in the beginning, let's be honest, a lot of us we all in. We head over heels
Yeah.
with each other, and the motivation is different. You're putting in that work initially, and I don't think anything is wrong with it necessarily changing, because you go into a different season once you're there. You're not trying to win somebody. Now you're trying to maintain something, and it requires
Yeah.
a different kind of
Yeah.
energy. So I
Oh my
think that's
God.
a big part of it is like understanding, like, you know what, I may have put my best foot forward initially, but I think a lot of people aren't aware of it in that sense, to know like things are going to change, and it'd be crazy to think that it's not going to change. Not that it's something different, but it just looks different when I'm in a different role. I'm not trying
Yeah.
to win you anymore. Now I have you. Now I'm trying to maintain.
Yeah. Yeah. When you get through the honeymoon phase, you enter into the building phase. And a lot of people get scared in that phase because they think like the butterflies aren't there. I'm not as excited when he calls me on the phone, or I don't get as giddy when I hear his voice anymore. That's not a bad thing. That's just a transition to now we can build. Now we're creating together. Now we have a little bit more of a reality
Yeah.
of who you are, who I am, your strengths and your weaknesses. So now we can execute. We can be more effective with each other. A lot of people get scared in that moment. They can, since the butterflies are gone, then the romance is gone.
Yeah.
Not true at all. Not true at all. Now you got the tools in your toolbox to do stuff with.
But however, do the butterflies and the honeymoon phase have to end though? I think there's a
That's it.
balance of a combination. Oh, I mean, y'all was screaming your faces down there. See y'all body
Oh, like,
language
no,
right
it
there.
don't have to end.
It
Like you,
doesn't have to end. It doesn't
Okay,
have to
guys,
end.
y'all just was went to. I'm like all this movement. Yeah, so I'm just saying, just with that, it doesn't, and I feel like when there becomes to be like, oh, I don't look at him like a certain way anymore. There's a disconnect somewhere. That's the first line of disconnect from me. If I begin to feel that way, then that's when that we need to go back and we need to talk about something. We need to bring it to the forefront because if we don't, then it begins to sit there and fester. Then the next thing you know, we flatline it. That's just my 2 cents to that part.
and that's the important part of it. I think, you nailed it. We say you need to talk about it, but I think it's talking from a point of understanding, because often we go into talking like, I got to show you why you are not the person that you were initially, versus understanding it. Like Gregory said, now we're in a big building phase. And if we look at it like that, you're right. The romance shouldn't stop. But here's the thing. If it's built only on romance, and romance is not a bad thing, but if it's not romantic, then sometimes people panic, and it's like, I deserve that high. And I think it's and I'm just putting it in the sense that it usually is. If a man is not 24/7 romantic, 24/7 chivalrous, I think people that's on that high from his behavior like that, they could panic. And now it's like, now he is constantly in what's the word I'm looking for? Not just maintaining or maintenance, but trying to elevate and keep that feeling going in you. And I think when you're thinking from a standpoint of communication, like, how do you communicate it without sounding like I'm changing up or switching up on you? And I think that's a question that a lot of people don't know that they need to even consider in a relationship. It's not a switch up, it's just a different phase of the relationship.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Definitely
Uh,
communicate the phase though, because sometimes we just move the phases and we don't even say or we're building because most when it comes to building, some people when they build, they start one way and completely erase the way they
Yeah.
started. So that's what I'm getting at. Don't Let's ease our way into it. But when you completely like, oh, I'm turning a page and this is another chapter, and we don't have anything to fall back on, but the only time we fall back on it is when we get to a breaking point, and then we go back to square one to try
Yeah.
to do all the things that we did in the beginning to revive the relationship.
So Gregory, is whose responsibility? I think it's a shared responsibility. Let me say it this way. If you feel that this man is the best of the best and do no wrong, I think it's incumbent on you to put everything in perspective and ask the questions like, hey, I get it. Hey, in the beginning, we can go and go and go, but should we pause? Should we slow down? Is this realistic, that you can maintain this high level of being, right? Because again, I get what you're saying. You don't want a person to send his representative to you in the beginning. And that's not who he really is. But also, how do you have those conversations? And it's more than just what's your favorite color, what's your favorite
Mm-hmm.
food, and where do
Mm-hmm.
you want to go on vacation. Like, to slow down and say, hey, are you being you? And is this maintainable? And if it is, then good and well. But I think we all know, we've been on these years enough to know that people are going to put their best foot forward, which is not a
Yeah.
bad thing. But how much is that is sustainable throughout the relationship?
Yeah, yeah, that momentum is not sustainable long term. But first, I do want to say this. The honeymoon phase is a choice. You get to choose how long it is or how short it is. And what that means is you wake up with intentionality. It's choosing to love and care for that person. You're choosing to make this person special in your eyes. So the honeymoon phase never has to end. But what does happen is that your nervous system begins to settle. Your nervous system begins to calm. Like, oh, wow, I loved this person. When I first met him, I was giddy and couldn't stop smiling every time I was around them. But now my nervous system is a bit more calm. I haven't lost any of the affection I have for them, but I feel just a little bit more calmer now when I'm with them. And that's a good place to be, because that gives you better reasoning skills also when your nervous system is calm. Now we can have a conversation. We can look at it 360. So you do want to transition a bit to the building phase, because that gives you better reasoning skills. You're not so as flooded with those endorphins that it's like, oh, whatever you want, whatever you say, we'll do it your way, whatever whatever you like. It's not like that anymore. Now we can have a discussion. But the representative is not maintainable for the entire length of any relationship. What is important to do is that when one person feels like, hey, I'm needing some extra hugs, some extra kisses, some extra warm fuzzies, to tap your person on the shoulder and say, let's take a pause just for us. I know we got the kids. I know we're buying the house. I know we're saving money. I know we're working on 401ks and investments and all those things, but maybe can we just go away for a weekend? Or maybe can we go for a picnic? What you will find in relationships is that those needs don't always pop up at the same time for each of the partners. It's very rare that
Mhm.
both partners say, hey, I'm missing that connection at the same time. What happens more often than not is one person feels neglected. And you do want to pause. When one person feels neglected, that's reason enough to take a pause and go, let's go invest in us. Let's go on a date. Let's forget about remodeling the house, whatever the issue may be at the time, and focus on us. Yeah.
Good. That's good. Hey, so we got a question here. I want, before we go
Hmm.
further to the discussion, we got and to the people in the audience, get the questions come in, and we're gonna make sure we get to them. But this one's from one of our good buddies, Misha. Mr. Hart, Torrance. He's
Hey, how
yeah,
are you?
our friend. But he says, I think people get confused with great physical attraction and a real soulmate. You're right, they do confuse those, right? But can you all speak on that? And Gregory, you kind of just touched on it, like that feeling that comes and initially is not, what's always going to be there. But can both of y'all touch on this one? How people get confused physical attraction and think it's their soulmate?
You should have the rubber temples. Like, oh my gosh, you got the
Because physical
experience.
attraction is important. Physical attraction is important, right?
It
But
is important. It is
yeah,
important, but it is not a primary need though. But it is important. It is not something that should be the foundation of a relationship, but it can be a great accessory to a relationship. It is a requirement to be attracted to your partner. You have to have it, but it shouldn't be the biggest reason why you're with this person, because looks fade. And to be honest, there's always going to be someone else more attractive at the supermarket, at the gas station, at your job, right? So what you want is like, yes, I am attracted to you, but more so than that, I like you and I respect you and I admire you because of your values, your morals, your work ethic, your integrity. So, in addition to physical attraction, it has to be some things that are not as
yeah.
temporary as physical attraction, because it changes over time. So, with this particular question, I'm gonna say this real quick, and I know Anisha's gonna have something really good to say.
Mm,
There is a difference between a luster and a lover. When you look at the activities, both of them are actually doing the same thing. Lusters and lovers are doing the same thing. But when you're a lover, you're saying that your pleasure is just as important to me as my own. A luster just says I only want my own. And so you can know the difference between a soulmate and someone you just have great physical attraction to is if that other person's pleasure, emotions, safety is just as important to you as your own. So that's the difference between a luster and a lover.
I can dig that. I can dig that. That's a
Hmm.
lot. Miss you, what you want to follow up with that?
Yeah, because I think we get confused with physical attraction. I was I was married,
Okay.
and
That's
there was
okay to say.
no,
That's
no, no, because I mean I had two, so I mean you can figure out who you want to. You can pick who you want to think it is. I don't care. There's an attraction, but however, when the disconnect came, because soulmate is where you, because I wanted to make sure I pulled it up and I was reading over them. So I promise that there's a deep found, profound, and often definitely ordained connection and characterized by intense mutual understanding, acceptance, and love. So even though the physical attraction could be there, if there's a disconnect with all of that, the attraction of him didn't even matter.
Mm,
And so you could see somebody and be like, oh, he look good, and people think you look good together. But when the disconnect of the souls that are not meeting, it don't even matter no more. I'm willing to say you can look good with somebody else because there is something that that we're not connecting in a way that is fulfilling for this to be something that grows and that we grow together and we can have a strong, pulse and a strong heartbeat. And so physical attraction, I'd rather have somebody that I'm connected to, that there is a sex appeal about them. And not, I'm not talking about sexual, like laying down with them, but there's something about their character that draws me. And he may not be the most attractive. And I think that's what, like you said, you got to get past that because sometimes we want to find it, not me, because I don't want no woman, but you want to find this chick. But mentally, she's not sustainable. She doesn't know how to pour into you, those different things. And so we get caught up in that, thinking that the spouse has to be, top tier. Like I've always told when we're on the floor is yours. I always wanted a tall glass of water, but I've always told you I've been left parched, thirsty, needing something. And so knowing how to change all of those things around. So, but that's only because now I've been through something. I've journeyed through this to be able to talk about it now. Because back then it would have been a totally different story. And so now, as I've matured and gotten a place of understanding and really focusing internally on me, on what that looks like as a mirror of who I'm with, when I'm looking at the person that I'm with, do I see enough of me connected to the soul component of him that we connect in those areas that we move in sync with one another.
yeah,
Wow,
that's
that was good. And you spoke about the number one quality that a man must possess for a woman to submit to him. Because men are always like, I want a woman to submit. Is in order for a man to feel respected, he has to demonstrate a quality that she admires. So what we have learned is that when a woman admires a man, she has respect for a man. It's easier for her to submit to a man. It's not based on his looks. It's not even based on his income.
Hmm.
What it is based on is his integrity and his character. Is does she find him admirable? Does she find him someone that is respectful, that lives with integrity? So you're absolutely right, Amisha, with that. Physical attraction is is part of the recipe, but it's not the main ingredient for a successful relationship.
and I'll say this, and with somebody, it may be their main ingredient.
Right.
So
Mm.
I just want to put it that way, but you cannot omit some of those other. And I wish we could, if we broke down even on the screen what soulmate is, I think it'll be some of those things that you just explained, Gregory. So it would be an attraction to not just the physical, but also the mental, the emotional, his trustworthiness, his just a boatload of other things that we often don't think of other than those things that we readily see. And I think part of it, and y'all let me know if you agree with this, sometimes and most times failed relationships are built on what not only what I see in that person, but hopefully I can go back and show him or her off to the people that are important to me, like my family and friends. And guess what that usually is? It's the physical. It's the physical, how he or she dresses, how they look, the body build, skin tone, hair, those things like that. To Gregory point, those things that'll go away. But is he worthy of your trust? Is he committed? Is he patient? Is he kind? All those things that are most important. And it's crazy that some people will stand in there. And I think is what Gregory talked about earlier, the difference between lust and love. And that's what Benita actually said in one of her comments right here. She said, say that there's a huge difference between a luster and a lover. And I think if we understand those points right there, that'll help.
Yeah, because you can be married and still have a luster because he doesn't know how to, and he doesn't know how to connect with you intimately, and you can tell. Like,
yeah,
over there up under the umbrella of the Lord.
Oh, the Lord.
Yeah.
But Lord, the laying of the hands ain't feeling right.
We also have to acknowledge that a good body is not going to help you raise your kids. A nice body is not going to help you balance the budget. A nice body is not going to help you when give you encouragement when you're having a bad day or you're doubting your ability to achieve a certain goal. And those are the things that are really, really important. And for those people who keep, physical attraction as the primary need or the main ingredient in their recipe for a good relationship, they're in for a sad awakening. Eventually, that's going to, run its course, and you're going to want something more sustainable eventually.
Hey, so we got other comments that coming in. We're going to come back from commercial, jump on those comments and let you continue the discussion. Y'all okay with that?
Absolutely.
No, just playing.
View it as a form of empowerment or like a linguistic reappropriation, as some argue that it continues to carry the weight of oppression and should be done away with immediately. How does today's music, namely rap music, play a part in the use of such a derogatory word? We'll talk about that. As we know, rap music has an immense influence.
Oh, that's going to be a good conversation.
Oh
Yeah. That's a really good one. I think it's surprising that we haven't landed that plane yet on that particular issue.
I don't think it's meant to be landed, though. I think when you look at words and how they do evolve, I mean that don't take away the sting from other people. But when you got 8 billion people on this planet, we do look at things differently, and they affect us differently, and we prioritize them differently. I mean, when you're trying to figure out how to coexist, I think you do have to take those things into account. But I'm going to be honest that you're never going to see eye to eye on everything. And there are some bad actors out there that know that it's offensive, and they're going to use it in an offensive way under the guise of free speech or whatnot. But, not to get too far in that episode because I don't want to give it away. Go to the Mogul Media, Mogul TV Global platform, and you'll see all that episode and so many more powerful episodes that talk about some of the hard-hitting topics. So Mogul TV Global, go check them out.
Yeah, we're talking about hush the fuss and how sometimes communication can kind of get stagnant or get challenged in a relationship. And we've talked about this already, but then, you have to really understand what is your person's needs for reasoning and processing. So there are people out there that we call contemplators, and a contemplator is an individual that needs an extended period of time before they make a decision. So they may say, before I buy this car, I want to do an exhaustive research on all the cars on the market, which one is best. And so it may take them 30 to 60 days before they actually buy a car. Then you have people who are more immediate, and they're like, hey, this is the color I like. Let me go get it this weekend. And so if you're in a relationship and you have someone who's more immediate and someone who's a contemplator, then that can cause a lot of friction. What happens is that when we have those differences of opinion, is one person wants to have the perception of my way is better. And you're in a relationship, one of the things is there may be better choices to be made, but no one has a better perception. Everybody's perception is equally valued, although there is a better choice to be made. versus like buying a car. We should not just buy a car because of the color. We should actually do some research. But it shouldn't take us 90 days to make a decision either about what car we want also. So, but both of those perspectives are valued. And so what we have a lot of friction in relationships is we don't respect the value of the other person's position because it seems so extreme. It just seems like that you're either too quick or you're too long with making the decision. And when you devalue your partner's position is when a lot of the frustration occurs because we're in this relationship because you make me feel special, you make me feel seen, you make me feel important. And when you don't, that's when the fix hits the shan.
Yeah, and I agree. I think that's the long way of saying that value me like I value you, right?
Yeah.
And we all see things differently. And how do you, when you're trying to come together and make a decision that's good for the relationship in this patriarchal type relationship where the man often is the decision maker, and he's making it based off the relationship, and the woman wants it because I don't know, she wants a nice red BMW. Is it wrong to sacrifice for her?
Well, there lies an issue right there. We already determined who's the decision maker, who's the tiebreaker. We've already said that the man is the tiebreaker. He's the decision maker, and every household doesn't necessarily operate that way. And so we got to go back to how do we operate more as a partnership, or is this a patriarchy here in this house? And so that could be a source of friction as well. Amisha, would you like to expand on that?
I like that he went back to it. That's the problem.
I'm composed. I'm screaming on the inside, but I'm composed. Because you said the man is the what?
Just what Tamika said. You say what?
Wait a minute. Bro, I need just run it back real slow for me. Please.
He said that the man is the decision maker, so that's the problem.
So he said that he's the final, like if it's a
final word
decision that he get the final word.
Yes, that's what Gerard said.
Yeah, that's like me being a son. That's like being I'm sunshine with a rain cloud, and if he raining like that, he about to be by himself. No, it's still a way to navigate that. I don't feel like it should be a final decision. Like he just break all the ties. It still ought to be somewhere that we come together. If this is a partnership, now if this is a dictatorship, then of course that's what that is. That just doesn't work for me. And maybe it's the way you worded it. So I'm gonna give you another chance to reword it.
He worded it how he wanted to. Now he was being a little funny about it,
Oh man, they over here saying why she started. I mean, Kevin, I really tried to like Mr. Kevin. I really tried to like, but I feel like you should be real, and I'm just not gonna. I'm not gonna just hold it in anymore. If that was like, I was in my mind. I was saying what the last commercial was talking about. Don't use that word in my head. It popped in my head. Like what? However, if that works for that relation, whoever that works for, I can't take that away from that.
Mm-hmm.
That just would be no.
There are some
he said what he said.
They do very well with that.
He said they run.
Yeah. There are some households where that does work very well, but ideally what you would do is ideally what you do, who has a bigger knowledge, and maybe the wife has more experience with cars and understands cars better than the husband does, and so she possesses more knowledge about the particular topic, so she should probably take the lead or have a bigger voice. Whoever has the more knowledge should actually kind of be the leader of those particular things, because you do find yourself kind of sharing leadership. Not one person governs everything. It is a partnership, and whoever has, more knowledge.
Priscilla and Aquila, it is okay to know that you have a spouse that is competent enough to also bring something to the table, to have a discussion, and we can wait. And in the event that she happens to be that, I feel like that's an honorable, thing to do. That says, baby, you know what?
Yeah, that's a feather in your cap. Yeah,
I trust you on. It ain't even about the feather. It's just the fact that you see and you hear me and you value what I bring to our union, because I mean clearly it's got to be a marriage, but I guess moving into the relationship, because I need to know all this before we get to the I do, because I've been
But
to that the I do, and then what you give you ain't what it is, and then I mean come on.
Amisha, I do want to ask you a question though,
I
because
mean I don't know if you want an answer, but okay, let's go.
there are some households where that does work well. So I was working with a client, and this is their position on that
Yes.
particular topic of the man being the tiebreaker. So the wife is very okay with the husband being the leader. And so what she does on purpose is that if the children ask for something, she will say, wait till your father gets home. Or if the kids may ask, can we go to Disney World? She'll say, well, let's talk to your father about that. Her reasoning around it, which I don't find bad, is she wants to show her children male leadership. And so what she's trying to communicate to her children and is number one to her sons that one day you're going to have your own household and you should have the expectation of being a leader, and for her daughters to kind of see what a strong leader looks like. So she defaults to her husband a lot so that her children can see what strong male leadership looks like.
And I think
Now,
to unpack that a little more is the
can
why
I say this?
behind it. Go ahead.
So see you're giving a whole different storyline. Now you brought
Okay.
a wife with children and all of that. The first go around was just him and her. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna give me the information, so in other words, communication. So you gave one, it didn't sound like that in the beginning. Now you're bringing in a different narrative. From that narrative, I understand. That makes a lot of sense. So I just need you to be just a little bit more clear, when clarity when we're communicating here on the Floor is Yours podcast. That's all that
Yeah,
I'm asking, Gregory.
yeah.
Thank you kindly, sir.
And just to add to that too, when you're making these type of decisions, I think going back to how we started the discussion, it's that both people need to make sure they're being heard and understood, right? And what's the purpose of this purchase, right? Do we already have a utility type vehicle, and now this is something that she wants? Like, there are so many factors, in there to consider when you're going in. But I like what Tamika said right here. I think y'all will respect this. She said, my thing is, as long as you bring me back the exact car that I asked for, I'm good with the man making the decision. So
Yeah, because don't tell me that, baby, red just ain't it, but that's what I
yeah,
desire. I think you look better in gold.
yeah, yeah.
Are you paying for this, sir?
So, hey, that's good. But good, Greg. So we got a lot of comments coming in, Greg. So before we get back to the comments, I'm gonna let you go ahead and take us to the next part of this discussion, and then
Yeah. What we want to avoid, though, I keep taking my glasses on and off. What we want to avoid in relationship is where we get to a place where all we're doing is communicating at intense levels. And so when one person is feeling rejected and not understood and not being seen, they feel like the only way to communicate is with great intensity. And what we need to practice a lot in relationship is learning how to de-escalate. And I think that's a quality that we don't really teach each other very well, or we learn to do very well. Where it's like if I was talking to my girlfriend and she was like high strung and yelling and screaming, how do I de-escalate? Because obviously this is something that I need to understand, that she's trying to communicate with me, but I can't over the volume, over the frantic communication. And so, how do we learn to de escalate? And also, conversely, how do women learn to de escalate their man? And a lot of times, that has a little special nuances to it, because then there's physical safety that has to be considered too when a man is intense in communicating. But one of the things is that we want to allow the person to there's a couple of ways, actually. The first one is you can allow the person to exhaust what they have to say. Let them go on the rant. Let them rant for the 5 to 10 minutes that they need to get it out, right? So that, okay, now I've said it, and now you can repeat to them, okay, what I heard you say is that you're concerned about our finances and the way that I spend, right? And then you can start the conversation from there. What I find to be more effective, though, is in the middle of that rant. If you can, you want to ask them to take a deep breath and say, I am here to listen, and I'm here to understand. I want to understand, but I need you to communicate to me differently. I want to understand you. And so de-escalation is one of the things that I think that we need to learn to practice more, in our relationships, and more so than just stonewalling, more so than just going in hard all the time, thinking, no, you're gonna hear me today. It's something we need to prioritize.
I like that you said is something that we need to practice, which implies these are conversations that should be ongoing, not just
Yeah,
waiting for a dust up before we go and learn how to become better communicators. I wish, with all the rules that are geared around marriage, I wish they made some type of counseling or marital classes a part of it. And I know it kind of goes against, our freedom of speech and all those things. But if you look at how rampant um, divorce is, especially in the Black community, you just try to figure out like what are things that we can do that could improve them. And unfortunately, we are a reactive society in a lot of ways. And sometimes we don't go to counseling until it's to hit the fan, right?
yeah.
Learning to communicate, learning to de-escalate beforehand, I think is so important. Yeah, Kev said you made a good comeback right there. But you're right, Gregory, man.
Kevin.
Learning to do these things before the fire is ideal. Of course, you can't think of every potential problem, but I think you can know if you have a level-headed mate before you get married. If you took the time to learn each other, right?
Right, right. And as
So
you practice de-escalation, your partner feels safer because they'll know, oh, they actually do care. They do want to understand.
Sometimes.
yeah, so I'm gonna get the opposite side of that. So if you are de-escalating, they going on. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not in the place to say, I want to understand you. I'm trying to hear you. I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? Right now this is what I to de-escalate. Very assertive. And please don't stand over me. When men don't stand over women when you want to talk. I feel like that's just like, I'm not, you don't make women say. And you do that. And so you say, you know what? We're not getting anywhere right now. We need to take a time out and come
Hmm.
back. Oh, you can't be. So in other
Hmm.
words, like you said, the man, you can't tell me when that we gonna stop right here. Then you're gonna be talking to yourself. And then I'll remove myself from the room because that's a way. And in the end, I know Tamika did say de-escalate, not shut down. Sometimes it does cause you to shut down. It will cause you to remove yourself because if you're not trying to see that I'm trying to do something better for us so that we don't go down this road of screaming and hollering, then clearly there is no value in me trying to respect you as a man because you're not respecting how we shouldn't be in this place. And so once again, I'm only coming from a place of experience. Like y'all, we were talking, everybody's is different. And so we can give it the way we're like, oh yeah, say that. If that person is not listening, I don't care how you sit there and you plead and you say, "Oh, baby, I'm really trying." They're not even in the room at this point. They done already zoned out. And so to de-escalate would be like, I'm gonna stop talking right now
Yeah.
because this is not getting us anywhere. And if you choose to keep going on, then you're gonna be talking to, and my words would be your damn self.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And you know what? And I just can't say this enough and stress it enough. You need to know these things about your mate before you get deep in. Like, because when you're in and you purchase homes and you have kids and joint bank accounts and you've moved to other cities, whatever, like now you invested a lot and it's not as easy to pivot. But you need to learn these things. And again, it's time out for those what's your favorite color conversations. Not
And
saying that that's not an important thing, but you need to know.
And let me add this. And
Mhm.
sometimes because we talk more about the family that's already together. You got to now navigate when you got blended families and you're bringing your children into something because now you have to now you add and you come out of your own space, bringing them into a space, and then you have to uproot them out of something and do it again. So there's a big ripple effect with that. It's an easy, you kind of. I think people probably put in more work when they have children. I don't of together, but you have to look now. We're living in a time where it is blended families, and
Yeah.
you have to know that when you bring in other children into things that you're loving them and all that. When we do all this, not like you said, doing it, we do the false representation in the beginning, then we get into it,
Yeah.
and all these things come out. Then now we've got children that are affected by what we didn't really truly address, and now they have to be displaced and start over, and
Yeah.
all of these different things. So it definitely is deeper, to
For
this
sure.
thing here.
Yeah. Yeah.
One thing I do want to stress is for the women. If you feel like you cannot de-escalate the man, Amisha is 100% correct. Remove yourself from that situation. If he doesn't seem like he can calm down, or you can't calm him down, he can't calm himself down, then just remove yourself.
Yeah, because no amount of talking is going to correct that level of disrespect anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
I love what Tamika said. That's true too.
What did she say? Let's see.
She said men should seek emotionally mature women and women should seek emotionally mature men. This should help to prevent some of these issues that linger. And that is definitely true. Because you can definitely be in two different places. Because men, what I've learned is they talk about filling up your love tank and that if they're providing and all of these different things, but if the emotional part isn't there, then you can do all the financial planning and paying the bills and all that. But when it comes to communicating and emotionally showing up, if that is out the way, it's not even exist, then there definitely is an issue there, and it can definitely end a marriage or in relationships. Because
Yeah,
you can be the best provider, but if you are emotionally not available to listen, to communicate. And that's the one thing, communication is the key to everything we do in life. And when we look at it, men and women, because I'm not just putting it on the men, we communicate so much more effectively when we at our jobs. We communicate more with the dog. We water the plant and talk to it, and the plant won't even talk back. But you'll know that something is wrong when that plant get wilted. And you'll go over there and tend to it to bring it back to life. But when we look at our partners and we see that there's something that we've drained them or we haven't met them, we don't pay that much attention to them to know that if even if something, the body language changes, that we should automatically be able to connect with that thing and go and tend to it, or to have a conversation about it. So
that goes back to what we said earlier about we see the person we're in a relationship with as not everybody, but unhealthy people look at it as the means to an end. Like, I'm with you so that I can be fulfilled. And you got all these things of what I want in a relationship, but not focusing on what I can be in a relationship. I like what Tamika said when talking about removing. She said, remove myself or she's going to remove him. We ain't advocating for any violence right there, but hey, get yourself out of those situations. But at the end of the day, with all seriousness, yelling is one of the most disrespectful acts that a person can show towards you. There's a host of ways that you can show disrespect, but yelling, and of course, I'm not trying to put this blanket statement because, people can be frustrated and lose their cool. And I'm not trying to say that you're ultimately a disrespectful person, but if that's your way of communicating is yelling to dominate and just dishonor the other person, I think that's one of the most ultimate forms of disrespect out there. And again, what Tamika said earlier, these are things that we need to be finding out about our mate before we get deep involved, and it's harder to pivot and pull out.
Amen, somebody.
Yeah.
That's right. You need to come talk to me before you get married.
Man, come on, Greg. We're gonna put your information a lot. But hey, this has been a good one, and it's one that we can go on. But this is the end of getting closer to the end. I want to make sure we get to these comments. Are y'all okay with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me scroll up here to the top, and hey, shouts out to Benita.
Benita Beyond, she done tagged 150 people.
Can we put Benita on the payroll? We might not pay some money, but I need some Chicos or some mineral water or something. Hey, let's make sure we look out for Benita. Benita, appreciate you.
We got to get us some lunch or something.
Yeah. Anderson said, G Money, you're very handsome, and thank you for showing your face. All right,
Who said that?
Kevin Anderson.
Where? Put it up. It's on the screen, or he sent it
private
on your.
I'm gonna go on past that right now. I don't want to.
I know you is. Not. I know you are. I know you is.
Hey, let me go down here. This is from a friend of mine. I've been communicating on Facebook. She's from this Kathy. She's from Mississippi. But Kathy said physical attraction is okay, but at this point, other things are positive. Other things are too. So positive. So mature attributes are attractive to me. And you're right. That's kind of what we were saying.
I know that's right.
Absolutely, 100%.
It's important. I do not want to diminish being physically attracted to somebody, but there is more to it than a physical attraction.
I know that's right.
That's absolutely.
I know that's right.
And you know what? You can fall in love with someone who you didn't immediately think was attractive, but the more you get to know them, the more attractive they become.
Yeah. Tranquil T, a good friend of my Orman buddy, Tanya. I was in LA visiting her once, and she said that we were talking about attraction, and I challenged her thinking on it. I was like, you cannot tell me that if you're not attracted to a guy that you're going to be in a relationship. And she said that she pushed back. She said, Gerard, if a guy comes to a lady in her vulnerable state, she's going through something, and he's there for her, and he's her safety net, listening. It can happen, and it does happen more than you would think. And I was like, wow, I could see, after she explained it that way, that could be a thing.
I'm gonna take him right over there to the spa parlor, get his nails and his feet did.
Hey, I think
Prince is
that's
my favorite singer of all time, and he has one line that I absolutely love. He says, if God one day struck me blind, your beauty I would still see. And that's what we're looking for in someone, that if even with my eyes closed, you're still beautiful to me.
Come on, Ray Charles.
Right on. Corey checking in from Texarkana. Appreciate you.
What's up, Corey?
Hey, Tarika said, hey, Batty. Shout out
to
Hey, Kevin, longtime friend, man. One of my childhood best friends. He said, been with his wife for 32 years now. That's more than just a soulmate. Right on, man.
Amen.
Pedestal, man. I appreciate that. When I see that, Benita said too many people start off with the lusting part, sex, and then that's all they have. I can go a long way on that one. Let y'all talk on it.
How you begin a relationship is generally how it will fail or succeed. And so for women, if you start a relationship off and you're saying, listen, I'll pay for the first date, or I'll come pick you up, he's going to get programmed in his mind thinking, oh, this is how our relationship goes. Or if you give sex too soon, the foundation of our relationship is she takes care of me. The foundation is sex. So how you start a relationship is generally is what's going to make it succeed or what's going to make it fail. So be careful how you start.
Yeah. Miss, you want to add some of that?
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't start with it, child. But the way I didn't start with it is the way I ended it. Read between the lines.
Right on. Hey, Tarika said, what about the people claiming someone as their soulmate, but it's one-sided?
Oh
man. Come on. Greg, I know you got some wisdom for this one.
That is a person that is delusional. That person isn't based in reality, and so there's going to be some reciprocity if this is truly your soulmate. It's going to be a two-way street. So if it's just one-sided, then that's a delusional person. That's a wish. That's not reality.
Yeah, and Benita said what you just said. That's delusional. I can't argue with that one right there.
Yeah.
Kevin said, if you don't know the meaning between lust and love, then you're already lost in finding the right person. Might as well just have sex and keep it moving. Hey, and there it is.
Might well just not don't even have sex, because then they'll want to chase after you.
Kevin said, if you need some more relationship advice, hit him up. He got you.
I mean, he on it. Yeah.
No. Sex is sacred. It should be reserved for only the most special people that you meet in life. I'm not going to tell people when and how. I think people should wait until they get married to have sex. But if you choose to have sex, make sure it's with someone who cares about your safety and your happiness just as much as their own.
Yeah, because I felt like my girlfriends, they weren't thinking about my well-being, because they was talking about this Chris Brown and Usher concert. They talking about
the Who concert again?
Usher.
Chris Brown, okay.
Chris Brown and Usher, you like the one I do Southern stuff. That Usher. Yeah. And they was over there talking about, girl, you ought to come with us. You know what I told them? Baby, let me tell you something. My flesh is in control. You guys is not trying to take me back down the road. Well, clearly y'all not my friend. I don't need to be taken down. That's the song. Wasn't that what one of the songs? Take me down. No, let me leave me standing up. So I told myself, no, baby, you're not finna interrupt my flesh.
You ain't going to Chris Brown, Usher?
No, my flesh is well.
You try to keep it that way, huh?
Oh, baby, they can go over there. I just want them to, I told them I may need a paddy wagon, because half of y'all boyfriends gonna be out there outside looking for you anyway, and I just pick them up and take them home so they won't go to jail.
Oh yeah, Chris Brown and Usher breaking down
breaking people up. It's gonna the divorce rate is about to spike.
Your wife,
so they wasn't looking out for my well-being. I hope they watching this too.
Yeah, speaking of healthy communication, if you're taking your spouse or your mate to the concert, y'all better have a conversation about them getting on that stage. So you ain't surprised by anything, right? So Benita said this one we were talking about decision making. She said her late husband was ultimately the decision maker. However, he tended to make the decision he knew I agree with. And I
I
think
like
that's
that.
how you got to take it into account. Um, to trust and for women, and I've heard this from plenty of women and read it, to submit to a man's headship requires a level of trust and comfort that most people
Mm-hmm.
don't even know exist. And if you want to be honest, it's one of those things that you get there. You might have the idea of I'm going to submit to his leadership, but the minute that he says something that, and I should say something, but more, emotionally or something that you're convicted about, that he says no, then it can be troubling. But if it's
Mm-hmm.
a level of trust, we know it's not always about being comfortable about the decision, but trusting the decision that he makes. And
Absolutely.
even when you don't trust trust it. I mean, if it ain't something where it's taking you off the cliff, right, off the ledge,
Right.
it's something that
Yeah.
you can address. Hopefully, that y'all have that built into y'all's relationship that you can talk about that.
And one of the things too, and I agree with everything you said, Gerard. One of the things I think men need to receive is that that is something that is built over time. It doesn't mean you immediately get it just
Yeah,
because you say I do.
thank
There's something in business before an investor invests in a business, they're looking for a proven working model, a proven working model, meaning over time has this product done what it is supposed to do. And women are looking for the same thing, a proven working model over time. Are you able to do what you said that you're going to do? And once you show that, then their trust is there. They can submit to your headship.
yeah, yeah, and that's good. That's good. Tamika was said earlier, either she gonna remove herself or she's gonna remove him, and that's kind of like a follow up. She said, in the words of her baby girl, you'll get Mike Tyson 1-2 punch. Do not stand
And a
over her.
pepper.
And it's we making a joke out
Yeah,
of
don't
this.
stand over
That's a
me.
real thing. Like men that try to intimidate their women, and it happens the other way around too. But more so, we see it with men. That's not love. That is not love at all. Misha, one of your favorite verses in 1 Corinthians 13 says that love does
Love
not
does not
demand.
demand its own way.
Yeah, and I think if we put that and let that be a pillar of how we express love, you
Hmm.
know, and I say this all the time, where there's an abundance of rules and do's and don'ts, there's an absence of love. So I think love is free. Now, that don't mean that that person gets to go out and do and be everything that they want to do, because if
Hmm.
they love you too, they're going to conduct themselves accordingly. But I think you got to be careful about being demanding and dominating over people to try to get your way. Yeah,
Yeah.
These comments
Yeah.
are good.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I will say this, and this may ruffle Amisha's feathers, is that when I look at m- my household, I am the president of my household. My spouse will be my chief advisor. And so, even though I'm the president, I don't make a decision without consulting my chief advisor.
Yeah,
So
Misha,
why
why
would you
you like
why
that?
did you think that was gonna ruffle my feathers? Because that was really the most softest
Elegant.
romantic thing that you could have said. I mean, if you would have
Thank you.
just kind of led, I mean, but I know you be trying to ruffle me up.
Hey,
But like Kevin said earlier, you did a comeback. And I can get that because there is a communication that has to be done between the chief advisor and the president. But you got to be
Mhm.
on the same, you got to be willing to talk about that thing. I get it. So I'm not ruffled.
that's dope,
Okay.
bro. You need to
I
make a
tip my
post
hat.
about
I
that.
tip my
That was
hat
good.
to you.
Yeah, that was a
Thank
good
you.
one, man. Yeah,
Mr.
I'm gonna let one
President.
of y'all read this one from Mia. Mia, appreciate you tuning in.
Thank you, Mia.
Agreed. De-escalation is key. Waiting until it's full blown up is like drinking from the fire hose versus because she finished some more on that
Uh,
too. You man,
Here we go.
yeah,
Let me let you read the whole thing. There you go.
okay. So agreed. De-escalation is key. Waiting until it's full blown up is like drinking water from a firehouse. You have to bring the conversation back back until control, even if it means taking some steps back to recalibrate. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
like that analogy about drinking from a fire hose.
absolutely.
She was
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
yeah,
can be
yeah,
overwhelming, right?
Yeah, and then
yeah.
I'm talking about like bring it in because for me, when and a lot of things can go back for women, and I always tell y'all go back to me. Any raised voice of elevation takes me back to childhood in a domestic violence relationship where a man hollering at my mama and things like that. So any tone that changes, whether in Gerard is here, not that he does it, but even if it's a brother, a man that I respect and value, if you have a tone and I ask you, please don't talk to me in that tone, and you keep going, I'm leaving. You're definitely talking to yourself because now I put it on the table, on the plate. This doesn't work well, and I'm not going to communicate well with you. And I had to get to that place to finally use my voice to say it. That's not going to work. And if you keep doing that, then you will not have a conversation with me.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
might not be putting your hand on her, but verbal abuse can be just as damaging as physical abuse.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
One of my favorite quotes is if hurting me doesn't hurt you, then you don't love me. And so anybody that's going to be in a relationship with you, if they know that this is a trigger for you, if they know that this is scary for you, if they know that this hurts you, they don't love you.
Can I add
And
something to that end of that? They don't love you like you deserve to be loved.
Mm-hmm.
There might be a love, but it might be a toxic love, and it is something that you can keep to yourself.
either way, get rid of it.
Get
You don't
rid
want
of
it.
it, man.
Yeah.
This one, Tamika said, "Come on, Dr. Gerard." So
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
I think you
man.
need glasses. You need glasses. You got double vision wrong.
why
with
would you say
something.
such a thing, man? Kevin said,
Ew.
he said you handsome.
Yeah, Kevin, he said that, Kevin.
Who said that?
That you over there told her that he said you was handsome and that you was handsome.
Oh,
And you
oh,
tried
yeah.
to move fast past the question. I said, put it back up.
Oh, that was my own. Yeah, you know, this homie like, man, Gregory's a handsome guy, man. It's okay to say that. No homo, right?
No, well, no Diddy.
Yeah, he said it, man. Hey, Kevin said he liked the way that you said
Usher.
Usher.
Yeah. Yeah.
Usher the spirit in.
Kevin said, "I love the podcast. It's like being on the couch and not having to pay for it."
But
Man,
we finna have to change that, babe. We finna have to send out for play. No, I'm just playing.
Yeah.
Pay-per-view
Thank
session.
you.
Yeah, my child. And, hey, and prayers for his mom. He's dealing with some health issues.
Okay.
My man and Faye, much love. We love
Yeah,
you.
we definitely have a
prayers for
covenant
you.
prayer.
Wishing
Yes.
that you recover. And Kevin, keep us updated on how your mom is doing, please.
Please and thank you.
Absolutely.
Someone want to take this one?
Go ahead, President.
Okay. I can't read the bottom line. Just because it's been 32 years doesn't mean I'm perfect. It means I can learn a lot and I can't see the rest of it.
It says it mean I can learn a lot more knowledge like the ones y'all are giving out. Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. This is a journey, not a destination. When you're in a marriage or a relationship with someone, you never stop learning and you never stop evolving. And when you sign up for this, when you agree to be in relationship with someone for this length of time, you're gonna be married to sometimes 10, 20, 30 different people along the way. And you have to keep being
Ooh.
able to be flexible of learning this new person that you're with in this new season, with kids, without kids, when they've gained weight, lost weight, when they're sick, when they're healthy, with money, with no money. Many people are going to show up in this marriage. You got to be able to love each and every version of that same person.
Come on.
So it's gonna be how many people?
10 or 20 at least.
I thought you said like 32 the last go for the first little man. That's a lot of people.
Yeah, come on,
Yeah.
President. Come on, President Gregory.
Yeah.
President.
Mia's talking about the autocorrect, how it jacks things up. So she's saying, "Thank you, IC, for getting up on."
I got you.
We got
babe.
you. We got you. We understand.
Yeah, Mika said we speaking tonight. Hey, we do it and y'all make it easy. We love
We
interacting.
do love y'all. Thank y'all.
Yeah.
Thank you all. I said didn't want to be like you.
Thank you all.
I pulled myself back in.
Well, this has been fun, and we did go over a little bit, but we're gonna Gregory, if you don't mind, we're gonna let you wrap the discussion up and give us some parting thoughts, and then we're gonna kick it over to IC for that love note.
As we're talking about good communication skills, here's one note for men to women. When you find that your lady is not in a good space and she doesn't feel understood, she doesn't feel seen, I want you to, in a very calm tone, approach her and ask her these two questions. What is it that you wish I understood? And what would be the best solution for you? What is the best case scenario for you? What is you wish I understood, and what is the best case scenario for you? And then you go from there. You start the conversation from there. And what you want to do is acknowledge that she has an opinion and a perspective, and it needs to be valued just as much as your own. For women, to men, when you find yourself in these, uncomfortable positions in relationships, here's the thing that men want. They want something that's reasonable and measurable. Reasonable and measurable. So you can't go to your man and just say, I want you to be romantic. That's a bit vague for us. We don't understand what that means. But if you were to say to your man, babe, I wish you would take me out on 2 dates every single month. That's reasonable and that's measurable. I can do that. And so for men, you have to be explicit in what your needs are. It would be nice if we could, read your mind, but we can't all the time. And so reasonable and measurable. And if he's a good man, this is a tip for the men, this is the asterisk for the men, he will exceed what you have just requested. So women, it's your responsibility for give it to be reasonable, measurable, and for men to exceed what that request was.
Man, that was good. Poetic, brother.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
that, man. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I see.
Hmm.
You up?
All right. Okay,
Yeah.
y'all heard it is.
I think I probably should have went before Mr.
Before,
President, because when he get to saying stuff, he's like, it's your responsibility. What? Hello, however, I gotta stay the course. Yes, yours. This, yes, Lord. Um, what I would say is this. Because we do have different styles of communication, and if the escalations come into play, I've learned that there's a way to try to solve or come into a medium. Um, we can suggest how. The thing is, I feel like if my mate does it, I feel like we should ask the question, how do this is how I need you to communicate. I would like for you to communicate, or how do you feel the need? Ask the questions. However, if we can't say it out loud
Mm.
without raised voices, there is a thing called post-it notes, okay?
mm,
There's a thing called pen and paper. And I feel sometimes if we would just learn to write things down and to place it on the nightstand on the side of the bed, because it gives space and time for you to be able to read without no interruptions. Then you get to process it, you get to come back, and it gives you a place to see my heart, because when things are written, you get a clear understanding. It's like buying a card. I can get a card every day to express how I want to be or to speak to my mate. But that is somebody else's words that are basically speaking for me. It's always the intentionality when you write the extra something in the card that lets them know that these are sentiments of how I feel, but this is of how I want to express, but then this is what I can add to it so that you definitely hear me. And I feel like when we write, we are able to do it from a place that there is no noise, nothing to obscure how we're hearing it, but you get to read on that. It's like reading the word. When you read that word, there is nothing to interrupt you. And you finally get to see as you flip through the page that there is a story that's being told, whether that is you got to correct some things, that you got to straighten up some things, or how Jesus loves us. And if we take those things, because this is covenant relationships, and apply that like we do that word when we read, I promise you the page that you turn to write in the next chapter of us developing and growing together, oh, it'll be the book, the Psalm of Psalms over there. You hear me?
Come on
It'll
now.
be the Psalm of Psalms, because now we have an understanding that I can go back and reread and not have to replay the things that were said in an open, heated argument, because we miss the high points of things that we don't hear the necessary key points that we need to hear. But if I can go back and read it, at least I can say they expressed, I get to see the points that my mate is making. And then I feel like we can come back and say, you know what? I like to rehab this conversation. And then there will be a different tune that will be to this song. Instead of it being all chopped and screwed, I promise you, baby, it will be a smooth R&B moment. You hear me? And
mm.
that's all I see got to say tonight. So don't do all, can we not get to the point where if we going to yell and scream that we can de-escalate, but we can find a different way to move this thing by simply writing small love letters that they can go back and read, and it's just going to take us back to how Jesus said, just make it a parable, just make it plain simple for a baby to get, but we going to be all right. And that's it for tonight. All right. All right.
Write the vision and make it plain.
Right.
Snap them fingers. That was good as always. Appreciate that, Batty, and I know the audience appreciate you as well.
I'm ready. Chief advisor over here. She
Yeah,
said,
chief
I'm ready to be
advisor.
somebody's chief
First
advisor.
lady, chief advisor. Yeah. So mine, just real quick, and I'm just going to read and not paraphrase, but
Okay.
we reference a lot. First Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4-8 in it. When we're trying to figure out, how to be amongst each other, I always think back to a guy I met. His name was Charles on Facebook, and we used to go back and forth in a good way about scripture. And he used to always say this, Brother G, love is key. And I think a lot of times people don't understand what mature love is and what it looks like. And not to say that some people don't love you, but we're talking about the mature type of love. So I just want to read the Corinthians. It says, love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It does not demand its own way. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in truth. And this is my favorite part of the verse. It said it always protects, always trusts, always hopes, and always perseveres. So I think if we get a high mark of what love should look like and compare our actions and our thinking against it, it gives us something to pursue. Not that we're going to do it perfectly, but we know that that's the mark, and we can go in and try to at least mimic those behaviors, because as Paul said in Romans, he said, love does no harm to each other. And I think if that's the mark, that we'll be okay. So
2020, 2026, mature love, baby. Mature. That's my hashtag 2020. Mature love.
Yeah. Kev said you made an excellent point, but I have to hear what she got to say. So I hope it was everything you was hoping, Kev, when you heard IC.
Yeah, he came back through there.
Yeah. IC is ready to be somebody's chief advisor. Right on. But hey, we've been saying it. Hey, for anybody out there, if you're looking for hey, we'll talk offline. My bad. But you got to come through me and Gregory. I just ended with that.
That's right. You got to send your applications. That's right.
Yeah. He said he knew he was going to come hard with it. She always do. Yeah. He said we can learn a lot from her, y'all. Not the baby Jesus.
Yeah, not that baby, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Gregory, Misha, anything else before we close out?
What's that? Say one more time.
Anything else before we close out?
Man, this
No,
has been a wonderful
just
time.
do mature love. That's all I got to say, because that blessed me tonight right there.
Yeah,
this has been a wonderful time. It's glad to be back in action with my favorite crew. Couldn't imagine doing with anybody else. Guys, this has been wonderful. And to everyone watching, we love you so much. The Floor is Yours podcast is exactly that. It is your podcast. So reach out to us. Keep those comments coming. Gerard, IC, and myself, we like to sneak back into the comments. So you might just get a response from one of us. So keep the comments coming long after the podcast is over. We appreciate you watching. We'll be back next week with another fire one. So, hey, put it on your calendar right now, not to miss the show. We love y'all. Until next time, peace, love, hair grease. We out.
This one here really do it for you. Baby, yeah, baby, I mean, baby, come down to the let me show you how to y'all about my big brother.